So maybe again because of jet lag, I'm up about an hour earlier than I wanted to be. We're just awake now, which is fine. We will survive. Luckily, there's a really big break between sessions 1 and 2. We'll see what other shenanigans I get into today, but early rising. After taking some time to get the crust out of my eye, I jumped into what would become my daily hydration routine. First and foremost, a full pack of emergency to make sure my immune system stayed on the up and up. And then, to be consumed throughout actual training, 64 ounces of water with a small pouch of Element and a little pinch of Celtic sea salt for good measure. I wanted to save a little time by wrapping my hands before training started, since I knew I'd be gloving up, and of course, I expected sparring to come later. And there's many different ways people do this. The way I'm doing it will probably piss somebody off, but it's the way that's been working for me for a little while, so I will continue unless or until I find a better method. I bought these wraps about a month ago from Half Sumo. They have a jaguar on them, which is neat, but they're also kind of my dojo colors, yellow and black, so I figured they'd always be a little bit of hometown rep while I have them on. Once my wraps were finished, I threw on the rest of my gear and made my way back to Saigon Sports Club for our first morning session of the retreat. And before we got to any of the punching or kicking, we'd have to get through a 15-minute mobility warm-up, courtesy of Ashbet Pira from Australia. Warming up is nobody's favorite part of martial arts practice, but it is incredibly important. You're doing a lot of dynamic movement very quickly, and you don't want to go into this kind of practice cold. So I definitely appreciated the work that we did here, even if sometimes it felt more challenging than the actual drills. Some of this stuff I was more familiar with. I've done cat-cow a bunch. I did yoga actually in high school as part of one of my drama classes, and so it wasn't too unfamiliar here. It still looks kind of funny from the profile though. And here was a little neck strengthening sequence we did. This is super helpful. You'll see actual wrestlers doing a lot of stuff like this, and straight up like rolling around, spinning on their heads. It's super dope to watch people who can actually do this at a high level. We were just doing baby version, but that was good enough for me. With all of us feeling nice and warm, strengthened throughout our joints, we moved on to the actual drilling. Jeff's goal throughout the week was to teach us his strategies from long guard, and part of that was learning how to deflect punches, as you can see us drilling here. We each fire off the cross and essentially extend our arm to parry along the forearm of our opponent. My partner for this drill was Edward, a kickboxer who already knows and trains with Jeff back in Ottawa. He puts a lot of intent behind his punches even when drilling, but he's a super well-meaning guy and incredibly technical. He was a real treat to work with.
This is a measuring stick. I know that my left hand's so close to him that when he throws that aggressive, I have to take a big step back, or if I'm this close to throw the hook, I have carrot block, which is not wrong, but I want to avoid that game. It's still rattling my brain, and I'd rather make him miss completely. If he misses completely, he might overcommit. Right? I know when we shadow box, it's very easy to never overcommit, but I promise you, fight, and it's probably gonna happen. My hands up just in case. My hand moves down to the chest level. Again, this is my measuring stick, but it also helps me stay balanced. So I'm setting this my right like that. So I slowly goes across, carry, goes left hook. See how I make an L back. If he goes across and I don't back away, I need to step completely back, and it's much harder for me to counter. On the other hand, watch, if he throws across, I step back, now it goes left. See, I took that little angle.
The next drill combined the double leg work we'd done last night with some striking. This is Greg, super cool guy, came to the trip with his wife and son. He also has experience with Jeet Kune Do, so he and I were just trading some notes about fighting southpaw, even though we are naturally right-handed, but more explanation for that later.
Now, instead of pushing you, you're following it. Yeah.
The next drill involved interrupting a slightly more shallow takedown attempt, framing off the neck of your opponent, and following up as they pull away with a vicious 1-2 head kick combo. We repped this drill out a few more times until finally the fateful hour arrived, a most momentous occasion in this retreat, our very first sparring session. My first match was with Kwok, who comes from a predominantly Muay Thai background, which you can definitely see in his stance and movement here. He used his lead hand to keep me at bay, but was really tagging me up with those inside leg kicks and, of course, the teep. Once I recognized he wasn't really letting his hands go a lot, I decided to try to mix up my volume between punches and kicks, creating some nice trade moments, as you can see here. He's about to hit me with a laser-perfect teep. Boom, there it is, square on, sends me skidding back. I experiment with the stop kick a little bit. He and I mutually, wordlessly, up the tempo a little bit here. Exchanging back and forth. I go after him a bit, but he's pretty good at discouraging me from getting too antsy. He circles out to avoid being pressured against the wall. Back to work on the knee with one inside leg kick, two inside leg kick. He spins out, and then we're at time. A great first round, and I was ready for my next one. My next sparring partner was Ronald here. He was another one of the guys I met on day one. He's from Germany and actually has already had a couple of amateur kickboxing matches, so I thought it'd be fun to mix up with him since that's something I'm considering for myself as well. I would say Ronald and I were pretty even in the tools we used. We would exchange quick, straight kicks back and forth, and then we would also use a lot of round kicks in conjunction with this lead hand fencing you see going on. Ronald wised up to my act pretty quickly. I swung a round kick here and then stayed in my opposite stance to bait him so I could side kick, but he didn't bite. Ronald does a great job applying pressure, staying in my face and tracking me here. It's that ring experience. Something you'll notice in pretty much all my sparring footage is how I like to change gears. I mix speeds, fast and slow. I'll back up to lull forward and then spring out like I just did there with a little trick I learned from Damian Alamos at a seminar a few months back. Obviously it looks better when Damian does it, but I landed it and we're learning. Again, I really have to shout out Ronald's instincts here. He never really let me be the last one to hit, nor did he let any significant volley from me go unanswered. Definitely showing his amateur experience and proving a real joy to spar with.
Brandon, get over here. I saw you trying to make your way to the exit.
developed a solid rapport by this point, and like I said, he's brand new to combat sports, so I wasn't trying to show off that much. I wanted him to have a comfortable opportunity to work on what we learned that day, and I threw back every now and then so he stayed mindful of defense. Brandon's form was already looking pretty great for someone who's just starting this. I just gave him a few notes about where to place his kicks, either above the hip to hit the body or below to hit the thigh, calf, or knee. Still feeling good to go, my next partner would be the guy Brandon had just sparred before me. Arturo picked up the pace on me pretty immediately. He was probably one of the faster people I sparred all week. Most of his expertise is in jiu-jitsu. He's a blue belt, but he does have some striking experience and wasn't afraid to flex it here. Undeterred by my long jab, he would continue to assert his own, striking back at me once, twice more than I did him. Arturo is definitely the kind of guy to fight fire with fire, so anytime I got aggressive and pushed him back, he would come right back at me in the same direction. He attempts a pump fake to body shot here, but I'm already shelled up so it doesn't get through. I flash an uppercut and overhand, but he moves out of the way. This, however, does catch me. I was expecting a straight punch, and he came around with that beautiful check hook. Gotta give credit where it's due. And I caught him with my spinning back fist, because I can. For this last little stretch, I mostly just wanted to try to kill his momentum, so I put up a lot of interrupting kicks right on the leg to keep him from gunning that engine. Moderate success. This sparring match was actually my first interaction with Arturo, but it wouldn't be the last.
Hydration is needed. Everyone here's really respectful, really good at matching energy, pace, and tension. So, R10, you up? Okay. Oh, Johnny?
There comes a time in any gym when you gotta spar the big guy. Despite what you might think, Johnny and I were actually the same weight around the time of this video, but he's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu with a lot of striking experience, so I asked him if he wouldn't mind shooting in for a takedown at some point during our training. Shoot boxing with someone who you know for certain can take you down if they want to creates a new kind of anxiety, but I feel like it also made me pretty sharp. I was wary of how close he was to me and definitely wanted to maintain distance as well as deliver body strikes to gas him out. But as you're already seeing, Johnny's absolutely no slouch in the striking department either. We brace here and I hit him with a little, almost karate-style reverse punch. We're a little over a minute in, and at this point he hasn't even attempted to shoot, so now I'm extra nervous because every moment he doesn't do it is another moment I think he's about to do it. And there we go, right out of frame. I remember going for an underhook and scrambling a little bit, enough to get to my feet, but not enough to stop him from taking me right back down. My strategy hadn't really changed, but now Johnny was freestyling. Watch what he does next. A beautiful Muay Thai sweep, nothing to be done about it. That dump sufficiently chastened me from trying any more high kicks, but I was still going to pop punches toward the head and work the body whenever I got a chance. We started having fun in the last few seconds. Johnny hopped back for a front snap kick that he definitely could have landed if he wasn't being nice, and then we ended it amicably. This was my last match for the day, and I got just what I asked for.
No, you're doing a good job keeping me away. Body.
Guys, one quick one and then
Yeah, because I'm so short. You're able to hit my body.
Yeah.
So maybe mix it up. Body, head, body, head.
Yeah.
Kick.
First striking session of the week was done, and I was feeling pretty good. I unwrapped my hands and made my way back to the hotel, but not before taking some time to watch the Saigon Sports Club Muay Thai team in their practice. Obviously, the one thing that I'm not messing around with here, that you shouldn't mess around with anywhere, is hydration. And before I left, I asked my lovely girlfriend, her picture will be here. Or no, here. Maybe. I asked her to create a hydration kit for me, which she did. That's where the element is coming from, the emergency that I have, Himalayan pink salt, just a scoop, a little extra, and Hydra Patch, transdermal performance patch. So these suckers are supposed to go into your body, and then they replenish essential electrolytes and nutrients to manage hydration and wellness. They are by Informed Sport, and I believe she was able to get these like in advance, like they're not actually being generally sold yet. So thank you to you guys, and let's give it a shot. I'm gonna have to put this on under my shirt. So can you go away? Okay, I've applied it. I wanted to try to get it on my back, but I realized that I wouldn't be able to formulate. I realized I wouldn't be able to secure it the way I need to by myself. So it's on my arm. It's supposed to be good for 8 hours. I don't know if it's been jiu-jitsu tested, but it will be tonight. So Informed Sport, you will be getting some critical data this evening. I do already feel this like working, I guess. Like it's producing this cooling sensation, which I assume is the transdermifying. For the second grappling session of the retreat, Ashley had us doing some animal movement. I thought it was really fun. It reminded me a bit of some theater games I used to play back in high school. I've mentioned high school twice now. I didn't peak there, I promise. Anyway, this was a really fun, unique way to warm up, and I wish we'd gotten to do a bit more of it throughout the week. We also practiced our rolls. I'm pretty proud of my front roll. Observe, observe, observe. Thank you, thank you.
Oh, it's out there. This way, yes. Yes. Turning to bridge this way. I know you're like, yeah. Boot bridge up, shoot out. Yeah, man, great. Good. Smoke that.
After drilling the basic shrimp, Jeff started us practicing this inversion that we could use as a potential mount escape.
Now, I want to turn the opposite direction. Like I want to be parallel with him, but my elbow needs to stay back. So focus on my right elbow now. Go try to take my back. Too late. Here. And the higher you go, you can now touch his foot and wiggle free. Does that make sense, guys?
It definitely took a while to get the hang of, but I can say I've already started to use it in my own training back home and will continue to. I'm determined not to let anybody keep me in mount anymore after this. Drilling continued for a bit after this, so we only had time for a few rolls. Here's mine with Calvin. Calvin has a mix of combat experience, but competes pretty regularly in Jiu-Jitsu World League, which I've been to a few times myself. He's also incredibly strong, as a former CrossFit athlete. After some hand fighting and tag playing, he dropped into seated guard. He used his legs effectively to shield me from getting too close, bicycling out and eventually getting butterfly hooks to stop my progress. Calvin tries to sit up here and escape, but I maintain my grip on his heel to force him back down. Calvin's still doing a great job at keeping me from exerting most of my mass on him, but his leg is extended, so I decide to switch tactics and come around for a heel hook. You can't quite see it from this angle, but I wasn't able to exert the leverage I needed, and anyway, this isn't the kind of technique you want to keep cranking if you don't get an immediate tap, so I let it go, and we moved on. Calvin began to rotate on top, and I could tell he was seeking a mount, so I got my frames in to try to prevent it, but he jumped over anyway. At this point, I probably could have effected a sweep. I opted for a wrestle up instead, getting my underhook, knees, then feet to the ground, and getting head control, sprawling out to keep him from taking me back down, and was able to get a nice spin to the back. From here, I dropped a leg over, pulled him into my lap, and started trying to attack for the rear naked choke. But he was able to free his hips pretty quickly, leaving me only the torso. I wanted to at least keep my chest on his back and keep him from turning into me and getting his legs back in play. Unable to turn into me, Calvin does the only thing he can do, which is turn away into turtle. This is where you shell up your limbs and protect your neck simultaneously so your opponent can't get an easy choke. But I start priming the shell. I breach his defense here, but he scrambles to his feet very quickly and spins out so I can't get anything effective. Calvin dropped into my guard this time. Then he freed his leg to drop into side control, and we pretty much hung out here for the rest of the round.
Even Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or rolling, the actual benefit of wrist locks is emphasized. You know, we don't wrist lock to necessarily break or throw somebody. It's just control. It's to soften. Yeah. So that's what I was trying out when we had some. I think it was here, and I tried to I did some sort of figure fours.
You did it this way, but
yeah.
I think you twisted the other way.
if my arm went this way, then it'll hurt like that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, like almost like Lethio, or like a gooseneck rather.
Because imagine we're not even allowed to use wrist lock until you get a blue belt.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, this way it was very flexible. I didn't feel any pain. Now that I can't rotate like the body.
Oh, around your wrist.
But this way is like.
Thoughts, feelings?
Feeling great, bro. I'm feeling like I should have gone in there and trained a little more, done some rolling.
That's why you're here, man.
Feeling great though.
Good.
Time for dinner.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Well, I won't get a second wear out of it, but I can say that I think this did what it was supposed to do in combination with what I was drinking, and it hung in there for some pretty intense drilling and rolls. So, hey, it gets 3 thumbs up from me. So the end of day 2, very action-packed. A lot of great work got done. We did this really cool drill toward the end where Jeff picked out a few of us from the group to start a round of King of the Hill. I was one of like the 6 people who came up, and my job was to escape the mount of the rest of the people in the class who were coming in. Within like, a reasonable time limit / when I feel that I genuinely can't get out, then I get up, I go back to the line, and then they replace me until someone cycles them out. So that was really cool. We were just repping that for like probably altogether 10, 12 minutes. And then we started to actually roll, but we didn't have as many rounds in rolling today as we did rounds of sparring earlier this morning. Other than that, I didn't get to do much tourist stuff today, so yeah, I don't want to. The balance is so interesting. Like, I love this concept that it's a vacation and a training camp basically wrapped up in one. But because the training is so quality and intense, when you're finished, you hardly feel like doing anything else. But I don't want to get so fixated on the training that I forget to, take in the fact that I'm here in Vietnam, on the other side of the world. I think tomorrow's the 27th, so we're actually doing a food tour tomorrow night, which should be really cool. I don't know, like, how it's organized or whatever, but that should be cool. Maybe you got time. I mean, a week isn't a long time, but with how far the dollar goes here, I can get a lot done before I go home. My wallet right now is like thick with Vietnamese cash. In fact, let me show y'all some of it. God, I'm sore, okay? I'm sore. Let's move on. I also really wanted to bring my do-rag. Side note, I forgot to. These bed sheets are not kind to my hair type. A single US dollar is worth roughly 25,000 Vietnamese dollars, or Vietnamese dong, which means that this little guy, this $1,000 note, I don't even know if we have a coin that would equate to what this is. Someone who is very good at basic math is watching this part of the video and saying, yeah, we do have a coin that equates to this. It's in your head, if you're that person, put the coin there. Anyway, so this is the smallest note, maybe it's the smallest one I've gotten. It's gonna be my keepsake. 10,000, 20,000, 200,000, and 500,000. I have 2 of these, so as of now, I'm still a millionaire in Vietnam. But all of this started from just trading in one $100 bill. I haven't had to exchange more money yet, and I don't really imagine that I will. I imagined incorrectly, but this episode is already long enough. So, on to previews for the next.